So, Jason, we have sat around this table and talked about two major stories for the last 2 weeks. And looking at them, I have the following takeaways. Kim Jong-un craves validation. And the haters, the neo-Nazis, KKK, the white supremacists, crave validation. They've both received it. Things are escalated now. What do you make of this president's ability to de-escalate?
I don't think he has that ability. I don't think he's interested in it. I think that President Trump thinks that fighting somehow makes him tougher. Avoiding conflicts is not what he does. We might be able to rest somewhat easily tonight thinking that Steve Bannon and members of the Joint Chiefs of Staff aren't going to get us into a nuclear conflict with North Korea. But the president has given aid and comfort to terrorists, to domestic terrorists, to white nationalists. He's basically told them that they're on equal ground with protesters. He's basically said, do whatever it is that you want to do. And that is going to create an escalation the likes of which no one in this country really remembers. If we thought that 20-something years ago, that Oklahoma City was bad, when Timothy McVeigh referred to children as stormtroopers didn't care, what are white nationalists going to do now? And I want to go back to those two senators in particular. You've got Tim Scott in South Carolina. We know what terrorism looks like in South Carolina. I lost a friend in AME, Emmanuel Church, when Dylan Roof went in and shot people. And that is the future we're going to have in this country if we don't have a president who has the moral clarity to say that white nationalism and terrorism plays no part in this country's future.
Is it me or the question I posed at the start of the broadcast? This seems to have unleashed talk and unleashed thoughts that at worst were suppressed, but at best were kind of moot. Most good-thinking people thought we were beyond that.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's always been this element in this country. And this is what's important. And I've been saying this all along. You think about ISIS, right? ISIS has killed more Muslims than white Christians. When you have domestic terrorists, they are trying to go after these white nationalists. They want to kill white people first. Yeah. They want to kill all the white people in America who actually are standing in the way of them getting this white ethno state. So that is what we're looking at now. We're looking at people who are going to attack the majority population of this country. And until we recognize that only by working together, not just black and brown and tan people, but everybody realizing that this is a dangerous national security issue, none of us can be safe. And the president, and I think a lot of his administration, don't see that.
Jason, I wonder what he's like to his enemies.
I can only imagine. And I'm waiting for him to send a tweet saying, I only respect people like John McCain who beat cancer. Like, I mean, he's that tacky, that grotesque. I wouldn't be surprised if he said it. This is what I see happening. If they can't get any substantive policy done, if the Republicans have nothing to show after this first year of this presidency, which is highly likely, highly likely at this point, it's every man and woman for themselves in 2018.
You think so?
Because it's almost impossible to pass legislation during an election year.
The whole House is up for re-election.
Exactly. The whole House is up. Everyone's going to be running. And right after the 2018 election, I'm loath to usually think this far down the road, this president's going to get primaried. I think the comments that we're hearing from people now, he is going to get primaried within his own party. He's got no base anymore. And if you can be a senator from Tennessee, and you can be a senator from South Carolina, deeply red states where Trump won by 20-something points, and you're criticizing him, imagine what's going to happen from Ohio. Imagine what's going to happen from Nevada.
And imagine how ugly it is going to potentially get.
Okay, you opened the primary door. Give me some names. You can't just open a trap door that big.
I actually think somebody like Bob Corker.
I'm
sure John Kasich is going to do it. I mean, these two guys are at the top of the list because a guy like Corker is going to be able to say, look, I was almost going to be his vice president. I can follow the same policy goals that we all had without all of this additional baggage. I can be the president that we thought he was going to be, and I think Kasich will be right there with him.